We'll just hop right into it.
Let's do it.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All righty. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this divine meeting. It's been happening and been wanting to come for some time now, and we're glad that you've put Jeff and I into each other's lives to just have this conversation. I just pray that anybody who's listening, that they receive something from today's conversation. Allow us to speak from the heart, speak for us, speak through us, send the Holy Spirit in to just guide us and to have great, genuine conversation. And we just pray for anybody out there that has been lost, anybody who's just been searching for something different, that they're able to receive that through this show, through this podcast. So we thank you, God, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Cool, brother. So Jeff Schwartz, man.
Yeah. So let me surprise you off the bat. I'm the Gordon Ramsay of the sport and of teaching and everything, and it comes to a lot of people's shock because of my incredibly crude mouth. That I was raised Lutheran, and for a while I was a scholarship singer in First United Methodist Church downtown for about 5 years, and their handbell choir director as well. And during that time, I was touring a lot with the rock band and playing until 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And so you could see me on Channel 13 every Sunday morning, usually hungover, usually with black fingernail polish and black under the eyes, half fallen over in the chair. And so that was something I did from about 18 to 23.
18 to 23?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Served in some churches here and there and done some singing and stuff.
And,
yeah, which is the other funny thing. A couple of weeks ago, we were doing Bayou City Sylvan.
Mm-hmm.
And being a vocal major for 2 years.
Sorry, no. You get like about just a fist off.
Yeah.
No, too much.
Being a vocal major for a couple of years, it surprises people that I'm constantly just blasting death metal, because it's such an intricate art form. It really is. That, coming out of the opera world, it used to be my favorite thing to do in the rehearsal hall. Just, everybody's la 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 la, and I'd walk in and, all right, let's go. So a couple weeks ago at Bayou City Sylvan, Team Zoot sets up next to us, right? And I'm blasting Slaughter to Prevail and just some really, really heavy crap. And the woman from Team Zoot comes over and says, "Can we not go to hell this morning?" And I proceed to tell her, hey, I'm ex-Houston Symphony and blah, blah, blah. And she's looking at me like I'm from another planet. And she just left it there. She's like, okay, all right, well. You know what you're talking about. So it's kind of like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, that's strange that she came over and she's talking to you about, can we not go to hell today? That's weird because
music's good music,
She shouldn't be saying stuff like that. But anyway, so so that's crazy. I didn't know you had that background. That's interesting. So you grew up in a Lutheran church?
Yeah.
Since like you were like a kid.
I mean, we weren't super big in it. We went most Sundays, and if I stayed up too late with Dad on the Saturday night before watching movies or shooting pool or whatever, then we wouldn't go. But I was in Sunday school and church pretty much 3 or 4 weekends a month. And as I got past about 8th or 9th grade, life got a little busier and stuff, but church never was too far. But being completely honest, going through what I went through with my shattered ankle, it was 10 days before the Ironman World Championship, and I got in that car wreck and shattered my ankle. And it's just at the top of my game, man. And
what age was this?
Well, this was back in 2021, September. Yeah, I guess right about September 2021, and that pushed me away from God for a pretty good while. And I'd be lying to say if I was still, back feeling super strong about it, but. The good thing that came out of that was they said that it would be a year before I was competitive again and being able to get out there and compete. And I guess God found me the right docs, and I worked with one of the Houston Texans doctors and the Houston Ballet doctors. And about 4 months later, did the Houston Marathon, doped up on narcotic pain meds, tramadol. I was standing at the starting line with Brian Phillips popping tramadol, which I wouldn't suggest. That was ugly about mile 21. But But April that year, less than a year later, I ran a 2:56 in Boston, and I remember looking up at the sky when I came through the finish line, and I said, "Okay, it's a start." So I'm working my way back, man.
No, it's good, man. So before we hop, because I want to figure out like the timeline and all that, and go more into the your experience with your broken ankle, your shattered ankle, more or less, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't broken; it was shattered.
It was jacked up, man.
From that car wreck. So Jeff Short. So what do you do? I know you do with the school, but as far as with the triathlons and stuff like that too, like just give a little bit of background about who you are and what you do.
All right, so I'm Jeff Short. I have a very checkered past and interesting upbringing. You've already heard a little bit of, but with that lifestyle of being a music major, got into a rock band, and we toured quite a bit. Name of my band was Anubis. Most of us were out Dobie High School area, and we did pretty good for a while. We played the local scenes and got a couple of songs on 94.5 here and there back in the day, and
so dope.
Played with a few people, not too far from your neck of the woods. Scout Bar, Saliva, Theory of a Dead Man, Crossfade. I think we had a show with Seven Dust or something in there at one point. Can't remember. I've drank so many of those memories away. But,
I know how that goes, bro. Yeah, that's so funny.
But when that lifestyle subsided, and when the music turned down, that lifestyle never subsided, and I stayed a hard drunk for a long, long time, and it was never running from anything.
How old were you?
This was probably from the time I was 21, 22, and I didn't set that bottle down until just about 6 years ago, and never was running from anything. I was just as passionate about drinking as I am now with triathlon and running, and it finally got to a point where it was literally going to kill me if I didn't put the bottle down. I was lying to myself about liver aching and hurting all the time, and looking in the mirror, and skin's turning yellow, eyes are a weird shade and stuff. And there was a line in a movie, it's probably before your time, called City Slickers. It was a Billy Crystal movie, and he says in that movie, he goes, "You ever look in the mirror and you say to yourself, this is as young as I'm ever going to be. This is as good as I'm ever going to feel. And it ain't that great?" That's where I was at. And so finally put that bottle down, because my wife and I got locked out of our house, and I had to run to my parents' house and get a key. And that little 1.5 mile run nearly killed me. It just wiped me out for like a week. And I said, man, if the zombie apocalypse was tomorrow, we're going to die. I got to be able to bring home a buffalo and, whatever I got to do. And so the little jog around the block turned into, okay, well, I was an athlete in school. Let me put on the rollerblades. Let me go a little further and kind of push this. So a couple months went by, and this is 2017 when bottle finally went down. Okay. And, a couple months later, it was, all right, well, let's sign up for a 5K, my wife and I. And so we did this 5K out in Kingwood. And that really was a spiritual experience, I would say, because we both ran the race. And I think I came in third to last in my age group. But I sat out on this dock behind the race.
Where was this at?
Kingwood,
okay.
I sat out on a dock, and I said, I'm getting ready to get good at this. And by Christmas that year, I was starting to win my age group, just in a few months, because the passion that was there for the alcohol went directly on that dock. So I guess it was divine intervention. It went directly into laser focus of running. And so
what led you to go do that 5K?
I'd made it around the block 4 or 5 times, and it was the start to a new school year, and I thought, why not? Let's go do something new, fresh, fun, just get out there and do this. Yeah. And so that was it. That's pretty much what led to it. And then instantly it became, okay, 5K. Well, I bet you I could go at 10K. And so that the next race coming up was like the Galveston Causeway, running over the causeway and back. And that one about wiped me out too. But I remember watching the sunrise over the causeway that morning and thinking the same thing. Wow, something has put me on this path. 10K led to half marathon, led to full marathon, led to what's this thing called triathlon. And, then that, I'm fast forwarding quite a bit. That led to Ironman, and when I got into that just changed my life completely. And it wasn't until 2020 that started the coaching gig, but I guess we can get into that later. So.
Yeah, no, I want to. I plan on it. So you went at 21 years old. You started drinking. Did you ever drink as a kid, or was that your first time drinking at 21?
No, man. I mean, I was good. My family was. I would say the white trash family.
You're good to sit back, but I'm just gonna pull it closer.
Yeah,
to you. Keep going.
If Grandpa had the cup sitting there on the table, I'd curiously walk up and take a sip out of it and cry, or whatever. But I have no memories of my family ever being drunk or anything like that. I was an only child.
Okay.
Just it wasn't my thing at all. And but when you get into that rock and roll world, you're just suddenly surrounded by a certain kind of lifestyle. So you start seeing all that. And I had some good friends that are still good friends to this day that might not have been the best influence on me back then. But that's my fault. That's on me. That's not on them. I just have a lot of addiction in my family.
Like what, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, my dad claims he was an alcoholic, but I don't have memories of that as a kid. Nothing but good memories with my father, staying up late and watching videos, and him carrying me to bed. I'd wake up in my bed somehow, and I want to be that dad with my son too. We'd stay up on Friday nights and shoot pool together and stuff. And I guess he'd slip some beers or something in there, but he claims he was. My grandfather, who was chief of police of Houston, actually went into the hospital in '89 and ended up passing away, but he was detoxing, come to find out, from his drinking stuff. So yeah, I mean, alcohol runs on both sides of the family. So thankfully,
just alcohol on the
family?
Just else.
Well, nothing I know of.
Apparently, you didn't know back then.
It's funny, as you get older, you learn stuff about your family, and
boy, ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
You start seeing some stuff, and you're like, wow, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
No wonder I'm the way I am, or was.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're at 21. Did you have your first, I know you said you had like a sip in there, like here and there as younger, but because like how kids are, they're in they're like 15, 18, high school, and they're going partying, drinking.
No, man, I was so busy. I was always varsity choir, varsity track and field, so caught up in that lifestyle. Got my scholarship in music to U of H. First 3 or so years, I mean, I wasn't a dork, but just did my own thing, kept to myself, and did everything pretty much by the book. But it was really getting into the clubs and starting to play in the scene that it's like, all right, well, hell, I'll have a beer. Hell, I'll have 6, Jaeger, what's this? Oh, yeah, I like that. And, when you're younger, you can metabolize the crap a lot faster, too.
Yeah. But, it's so funny because you say you're, I wasn't a dork or nothing, but I hate that thing because... and I know you mean well by it, but it's just like this like stigma on people that if you're not drinking, if you're not going out on the weekends and going to the bar, if you're not smoking or something, that your life must be boring. Yeah. You must be a boring person. And it's like, man, there's so much more to life than just drinking every weekend or going to a bar on the Thursday or going whatever. I see in the group message, I've seen y'all post that during the week y'all got a swim post where y'all went swimming, with Rampage, because
there's usually multiple runs.
Yeah, y'all are running on the weekends. In the morning y'all go to y'all's morning run. Some drop off and y'all keep running. So as much as you can endure. You know what I mean? But it's just, I hate that you say dork. I don't say I hate that. I don't mean in that way. I just hate the society says that you're a dork because, bro, I was the same way. It's so funny because you and I have a lot in common because I was the same way. I was a good kid. Listened to my parents about everything. I'm the oldest, so technically I was the only child for like 4 years. But that time alone is a long time.
Yeah.
And before I get someone, and then even by the time he's old enough for me to be able to communicate with him effectively, I'm already 9 years old. And even then, there's still this gap where we can't really do the same thing. I'm doing something different. So
yeah,
I never had my first drink, and I never smoked weed until I was 18 years old. Actually, the week we graduated, I went to my first party really ever. And then from there, something got me and bit me. And I was on it for like a good amount of time. For like 5 years.
At least you can remember. I can't remember the first smoke or the first
bro.
drink.
so bro, I remember, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
I got hooked on. It wasn't weed that did it for me. It was Xanax, pills.
Yeah.
So I got hooked on.
Go that way.
I got hooked on pills. So the pills blurred my. I call Xanax the drunk pill.
Yeah.
Because it loosens your body. You don't care what you say or what you do. And then
I'm
you
quite
don't.
familiar. Yeah.
You are okay, yeah. And then you don't remember, right?
Yeah.
So at least you can remember that you can't remember.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's years of my life, man, where if you had a gun to my head and said, "Man, what'd you do in 2012?" I couldn't name one damn thing. Not
Isn't that
one.
crazy?
I mean, I guess if I thought hard enough or I scanned back in Facebook, but there's just these big gaps in my mind of
same.
And even when I was sober, like, can't go to teach school drunk, hung over, I mean, but, with these races, man, I can remember every moment of every race, just about, except for the rare moments where your heart rate's so high that you're blacking out and you're
That's hilarious.
about to explode,
Yeah.
But those are great memories, waking up on a Sunday morning with a bottle of vodka still in your hand on the floor. That's not a great memory.
No.
But coming over the causeway of Galveston, that was such a big moment. That first 10K, it was like, my God, I just ran over the Galveston Bridge and back.
Yeah.
Now I look at that as like, okay, big deal.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it's like,
it's a warm up for you
does
now.
this shit,
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Yeah, no, it's a warm up for you now. Running over that 10K
Well,
back and forth.
I'm not gonna,
Come on.
Yeah.
Nah, come on, bro.
Of the three in the Texas Bridge Series, Galveston is definitely the easiest.
Yeah.
The Kemah Bridge is rough.
So say it again. What's it called?
The Texas Bridge Series.
Okay, so
that's
explain
coming
that
up
to people.
Yeah, the Texas Bridge Series. It's actually something out here in this general Pasadena, Clear Lake area. It's run by my buddy down there at, what's the Clear Lake store? On the Run.
Okay.
I think they've got people.
Miss Cheryl's there.
Yeah, Cheryl.
I love her, bro.
She's
awesome.
involved in the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the first one is toughest 10K Kemah, which you go up and down the Kemah Bridge, I think 4 times. 1, 2. Yeah, you go up and down that one 4 times, and that bridge is steep, man. That one's pretty rough.
They're making it bigger.
Yeah. At least it's short. It's short. You're up and down, but that one's pretty tough.
And that's a 10K?
That's a 10K, okay. And then the Galveston
Are they
is
all
second.
10Ks?
No, the third one, the LaPorte, is a half.
Okay.
And that was my first half marathon, where you go up and down that...
Baytown Bridge?
Not the Baytown, the Fred Hartman.
Okay.
So... And that one's a great one. All 3 of those races are fantastic. Yeah, they're a little tough.
And then Galveston to complete the series.
Yeah, it goes Kemah, Galveston, LaPorte. And they usually have like a medal if you do all 3 of them. Like you can put all your medals together in, or some kind of trinket for that.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a cool one though, man.
It's kind of like those Spartan races. Have you ever tried a Spartan race?
Nah, if you point me in one direction and say go, I'm good.
Yeah.
But insofar, if you ask me to play tennis or basketball or climb over a wall with some mud on me, oh God.
Call it a day.
Yeah, I'm trying to be polite here on your podcast, but
you're good, bro. Don't worry.
Like a monkey fucking a football, trying to get over the. I might just like hit the ground and shatter. Like
yeah, that's so funny, dude. So you're saying that on that 10K and then Galveston. So how long after you did that 5K in Kingwood did you do that 10K?
Like a month later.
A month later.
Yeah. It might have been less than a month.
Okay. And then prior to that 5K, how long was it before that you decided, like, what led you to that point? Like, what mentally, like, what was going through? Because, like, you had been, this was 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
And
what was the final moment?
Yeah, like what was leading you up to that? Because if you were drinking and you're doing your were you still in music at that time? Were you still doing the playing at like
No, I
shows?
really quit all the rock and roll band stuff around 2008. That's how
Okay.
long it lingered along, though. And
And
I was a
just
very
for the record, how old are you? Is that a way to
42.
42. Okay.
Yeah, I was a very, very functional alcoholic. I could hide it extremely well. Not well enough that I'm pretty sure my coworkers were fairly suspicious of, my lifestyle for a long time. Never came to school fucked up. Never. Because I was a choir director and came to school sick. Feeling terrible, but I was always able to turn it off at X time at night, eat a Chipotle burrito or whatever and trash out. But you go through this cycle as an alcoholic, and I'm sure people listening will resonate with this because if you've ever dealt with addiction, you just bullshit yourself into believing, okay, well, I'm not going to drink tomorrow. All right, well, then you make it through to about noon and you start feeling a little better and you start kind of sweating it out. And then it's like, oh, well, I'll stop at the liquor store on the way home, but I'm going to set it down here pretty soon. And you just get locked in this cycle. And towards the very end, the cycle had become with us where we could set it down Monday through Thursday. And I say we, my wife, she wasn't quite as bad as me, but we were in it together, But my God, come Friday, we'd go through 1.75 ml handles of vodka over the course of 2.5 days. I mean,
Wow.
just wake up Saturday morning, 7 a.m.,
Party
Bloody
hardy.
Mary mix in one hand. Before she'd even wake up, I'd be 4 or 5 shots in. Time to go to Whataburger, come back, drink some more, pass out on the couch, wake up, party on, and finally come to somewhere around 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon and go, oh shit, we got to go to work tomorrow. And then as soon as you stop, this crippling anxiety comes over you of just the nerves of like, oh my God, I got to deal with this. I got to do that. And it's rough, man. And you don't even feel normal again till like Tuesday. Your brain is just mush completely.
Yeah.
But, so we kind of lived like that for a while. And finally, it was July 9th of 2017 where we had both just had enough. And now, granted, she still drinks a little wine occasionally. I don't drink anything, but
So you've been sober for 6 years?
6 years.
6 years?
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
100%. It's a huge thing.
Well,
It's huge. I know for people who've never had that kind of like attachment to what, or something had an attachment on them, like alcohol or anything, man, like when people say congratulations on your sobriety, it's like, dude, for real, because that thing to beat, like you said, it was going to tear you apart. It was going to kill you. It would have killed me too.
I don't think I'd be sitting here right now.
100%.
I would have either needed a liver transplant or, and they don't just readily hand those out to alcoholics. So, but yeah, man, I firmly believe if the AA system works for people, then great. But you have to be ready yourself. That switch doesn't get flipped in your brain until you are good and damn ready to flip it. And there's no classes you can go to. There's no dry out clinic until you are ready to make that change. I mean, again, I'm kind of biting my tongue here because where I am currently with the Lord. But until you, I guess, and God get on the same page together and make that flip, there's nothing anybody can do.
Did you have that flip?
Coming. I did. Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Just, I had enough. I remember watching or staring vacantly on July 9th at the TV. I think we were watching America's Got Talent or something. Room spinning.
What year was this?
2017.
2017. Okay.
Yeah,
July 9th,
just feeling sick. And it was just like, all right, man, that's it. No more bullshit this time. Take what's left here. Just dumped it out in the sink. Pitched it in the trash. And, it was tough for about 2 weeks. You keep wanting to go back and say, man, just a little bit more. And I'm not going to lie. During Hurricane Harvey, we did go back and we drank a little bit during Hurricane Harvey. But after that was completely it for me. And it's pretty cool because with triathlon, I see this a lot. in our sport, even with running too, and even within our group Rampage. I'm not going to name names, of course, but we have someone that's almost 60 days sober right now.
Dude, yeah.
Talked with that person quite a
Man,
bit.
keep going, bro. If you see this, or I don't know, male or female, but hey, keep going. Keep going. Keep fighting.
It's
You got support,
cool,
bro. Especially from me. Haven't met you yet. I do that, by the way. I'll talk to them sometimes.
No, that's cool.
And yeah, if there's something you want to say to somebody out there too at any point, and you just
One
look
of
at the
our
camera,
other boys, I know he
him.
wouldn't care about me saying his name, Cody.
Oh yeah,
Cody and I found each other.
Collarbone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Collarbone.
Collarbone.
I'm sure he wouldn't like that nickname.
No, I'm not. I'm not giving it to him.
That was divine, I think, as well, because Ironman Lubbock was my home. That's what did it for me in this sport. I guess we can get there later, but I made a post about how much that event had changed my life on the way to the event, and Cody liked it because he was going to the same event. So we found each other indirectly up there in Lubbock. And what made it even funnier, he had sent me a message that night, bro, I really like that post, and we kind of shot the bull back and forth. We ended up in the same restaurant called Orlando's, this Italian restaurant, where he wasn't drinking, I don't think. He was sitting at the bar, and my whole family was in there. I think it was right after the race, and somehow we ended up at the same place at the same time. I mean, it just gives me chills even still to talk about it. And,
divine intervention, bro.
Yeah, I gave him a big hug, and we've been connected ever since, man. That's my boy.
Yeah.
He's something else. And talk about a badass. Collarbone injury, too, as you well know. Like, that's tough.
It hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hurts. It's hard to crawl back from.
With the swim,
Yeah.
Good Lord.
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm gonna get there, bro.
We'll get you there.
So, you will. So, I know I look forward to it. So, you were saying that within triathloning, with even running, just more or less with like the exercise, the group that you run, you notice this kind of this pattern that lead people to you've came into contact. Almost me. Remember our first conversation we had on the phone when I called you and I talked to you? Yeah. And we're like, bro, like I'm starting to notice that, I had, because you were like, you don't know much, but I'm on my sobriety, and then I was coming out. I'm almost I'm on my 7th year now of sobriety.
Oh, dude. Incredible.
So coming to this, like I had just did my first marathon. I believe I did at that time, right? No, I just did my first marathon. I was going to the Austin Marathon.
Yeah, you were.
So this was back in February, bro. Yeah. And I had that itch. It's the same thing. Started with me. It was a 5K, and then it was a 10K, and then it was like, man, let me just start. I can't explain that. Let's see if we can get. It's this weird.
It's addiction.
It is,
but
like
it's positive addiction.
It is positive, and you said it on the phone too. You were like, bro, you trade one addiction for another, and that's where I'm at in life. Like I gave up one addiction, and I even said it in the group message when you got back after the Austin one. You sent us a video of you putting your medal in your in your freaking medal room where you have medals all the way around the room, literally lined up. But you said, and then someone was like, dang, like you gotta, or they said something about your room, and you were like, yeah, I just traded one for another. But that's the crazy thing is like you that trade-off of being so many years and so like thinking I got it, and then not only that crawl away from that detachment from that habit that you've formed, those temptations of like trying to get better, like going like a couple days of or 60 days.
Well, and
the
I've
mental
got a runner friend that I'm great friends with now, and he's older than me, but dude is still like a 240, 230 something marathoner, and he struggles with alcohol still. And
really,
I keep telling him, I'm like, my God, man, you're running this fast. I'm trying to push him off the edge of like, imagine how much faster you'd be even than that if you just put that aside. But everybody fights their own stuff, man. But the triathlon thing,
they do.
It's funny how trauma plays a role in almost 80% of the athletes' lives, whether that's addiction, whether that's coming out of a terrible marriage, maybe coming out of a surgery. We've had cancer survivors. We've had domestic violence issues. We've had psychological domestic, stuff where the spouse is very mentally abusive. And to watch people's eyes as they come back from that is like, I mean, it gets me choked up, but that's why I do that. To see one of our athletes up there on the podium a couple of weeks ago, and you could just see that, I don't know, let's say he or she had broken loose from that spouse's control a little bit.
Yeah.
That is so freaking badass, dude.
You're good. Yeah.
That's what it's all about, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm trying to make this my business full time and everything, but man,
Oh, you will make it your business.
You can't put a dollar amount on that. Being able to give that to somebody.
Well, that's why I believe that you will Rampage will be a top brand or one of the most known brands, because you're doing it not for the money, and even what you charge for people, it's an appreciative way of like, man, I'm trying to get going. This is what I'm doing, which most businesses do.
Right.
But your heart's in the right place, and that's why it's growing. I mean, each event that I've seen lately that you've gone to, you're getting more and more.
It's definitely picked up some steam, man.
100%. It's getting
that's,
traction, bro.
That's cool.
It is cool.
That's pretty neat.
It is cool, but look at what you're doing. You're helping people and giving them a home. You know, giving them a place of hope, giving them a place of encouragement. And you're not one of these coaches out there, and it's no knock to any coach who's like that, because everybody likes a different way of, being told how to have their coaching. But you really care, and you check in on them, and you're engaging. You engage in the messages. It's a good thing, man. It's crazy what you're doing, bro.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, we're really trying, and it's all I'm really interested in. And just education is not in my heart anymore, and that's a tough field. Kids are getting worse, mainly because the parents are getting worse, and they put more and more load on top of you. So if you try to wear that hat, try to be one of the best in the world in your age group as an athlete yourself, try to run a company, and try to, most importantly, be a good husband and father, that's a lot of hats to wear. So something's got to give, and I've come to the decision here recently, this is more than likely going to be my last year in education. It may, hopefully with our new partnership with TriDot and everything, we seem to be going in a very positive direction, and I think the future is going to be very bright for Rampage. It's a little scary thinking that we're going to cut our income pretty dramatically, because my wife is going back to school for medical stuff, but I want to be there to go eat lunch with my little boy, or go to his plays during school hours and stuff. And I work way harder with Rampage than I do with education. If you text me, and I think any of my athletes, if you guys are listening, y'all know if you text me at 3 a.m, you're probably going to get a message back, or I'm going to call you back.
Yeah, you're responsive.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like a 12-hour-a-day job, but it's what I love, so it's not work,
Yeah.
But anyway, I deviated there for a minute.
You're good, bro. Yeah, don't worry about it. So with Rampage, explain to everybody, like, one, I want to know why you started Rampage, like what got you to start it, when you started it, and what is it?
Okay, so the educator in me, I'd always taught piano lessons, guitar lessons. Even when I was a kid, I loved getting out in the street and helping the little kids beat me at basketball, like teaching them how to work together. Okay, set a pick. This is what a pick is, stuff like that. So I've always been some kind of an educator. Well, during COVID, every race was getting shut down, just one after another. And I know Brian Phillips will probably hear this interview. He's one of our athletes. Poor dude lost Ironman Texas, I think 4 times they shut down that race. And if you've ever trained for a full Ironman, my God, the amount of volume of training that is.
Explain to people what a full Ironman is.
A full Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and a 26.2 mile run. Bam, 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 all in a row.
But on average, how long does that take? Let's say for the, not top finisher, but like
the average age grouper.
Athlete. Yeah,
the average age grouper in pretty good shape, I think, is around 14 hours, maybe a little less, maybe 13 hours and 45 minutes if you're in pretty good shape. So, but to train for that is a lot of work. So getting back to the point, I lost a whole bunch of races in a row, and I know everybody out there that is a racer feels my frustration or felt my frustration during that time. And rather than turn that into it never occurred to me to go back to the bottle. Never did. I was way too into Breath of the Wild at that point, play on the Wii, or on the Switch. But it was frustrating. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this Ironman coaching certification program just for my own knowledge. So I'll know how to fuel better for a race, or so I'll understand some of the science here a little bit better. And went through it. And shockingly, most things that have the Ironman title on it kind of have the rap of just give us $1,000 and here's a fairly okay product, but we just want your money. Well, the coaching certification for Ironman was actually quite difficult, and I put more into that than I did any class I did in college. Any class. And I was very proud. I got an A+ in the class, and it was like 50 pages of stuff, man. I kid you not. It was just night after night of staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning and putting my heart into it, and got that certification. And I had been a business minor in college. Just never thought it would do much for me. It helped with the rock and roll, like making flyers and publicizing, stuff like that. Marketing's good for anybody. I'd recommend that as a career or a choice in college for anybody. But so I said, all right, well, I'll just go as Jeff Short, Ironman certified coach, and see if we can maybe get an athlete or two, because I was tired of teaching piano and guitar lessons. So Amelia, our all-star, awesome swimmer, was one of the first people that contacted me. And I had, a little bit later on, I got a guy named Justin from Ironman Chattanooga, and we started with just a couple of people, and we stayed pretty small for a while, but then as the pandemic subsided and races kept coming back, we got more and more people. And I got this guy named Larry, and Larry's getting ready to come back to us full time. I don't think he would mind me saying that he's one of the ones that is a cancer survivor. And just
congratulations, Larry.
Yeah, all American badass, military, and just coolest guy in the world. And when he came to me originally, just short, real quick thing on Larry, he was a little frustrated with where he was at, and I don't want to slam anybody or any other coaches or anything, but he came to me a little bit sad, saying, I really think I'm good enough to get up there on the podium one of these days. I just need a little help. And I said, man, fuck it. I don't want any of your money. Come on, let's go. And about, I guess a couple months later, he ended up placing, and he got on the podium in his age group, and his old coach was there to see it.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, heck yeah.
So that was a cool moment.
Ring that bell.
Ring that bell, And that's no slam. That. Sometimes athletes just grow out of other coaches. And I've had people say, Jeff, you're awesome, love you, but kind of like a pitching coach or something. Maybe I need another opinion. So I'm not slamming Larry's old coach at all.
Right.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, that's understood.
Yeah, we're too old to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. But anyway, he came on.
It's chemistry, bro. It's just chemistry with people.
Yeah, exactly. So he came on, and we go swim at Twin Lakes a lot on Friday mornings. And so I guess it was about 2 years ago. Larry, we were trying to come up with a name besides Jeff Short, certified Ironman coach. Yeah. I mean, because that's a stupid brand name.
So attractive, man.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
it's such an attractive name.
It gets to the point, but I mean, I'm used to rock and roll and deep, dark, like cool logos, and so I was really chasing this dark hole of like, man, it's got to be something about like crawling out of the darkness and into the light, something like we'd hear in an old Stain song or something, And so I kept searching for the right title, and it wasn't coming. And so Larry comes to Twin Lakes, and he goes, man, brother, and this is how he talks. He's like, man, brother, I was making my coffee this morning. I was just thinking about how you run through the finish line, throwing devil horns and screaming, and don't know how he got that idea, but he goes, just the name Rampage came to mind. Rampage Racing. I was like, you know what? That's not bad. So I thought about it for about 24 hours, and Rampage Racing and Endurance. That's pretty cool. So that name kind of stuck, and then we went through 4 or 5 different graphic artists, because most of them suck, and found a guy named Zozo. And just with the name Zozo, I knew this guy was going to be badass, right?
You can't have a name Zozo and be a bad graphic designer.
Exactly, right? So he comes back with our design, and he's like, I think you need something like the New England Patriots, where you've got like a head, and then you've got like the full body. And I was like, dude, that's right on, absolutely. Yeah. And so that's where it came from. And
Rampage Racing and Endurance.
Yeah, and then it's kind of grown, and we've now, after Eric crossed the finish line in Lake Placid 2 days ago, I think we've now taken close to a dozen people across the full Ironman finish line. We've taken people, I don't even know how many, across the 70.3 line, hitting that carpet. Oh, man. It's just so cool. We had so many in Galveston earlier this year. Yeah. One guy named Patrick, I know he won't mind me talking about him. He grabs me right as he's getting close to the finish line, right? Mm-hmm. And he's a big dude, man. Like, I mean, he could crush me, no problem. He's real emotional, because we all are, you know. He's like, man, thank you for this. And I never have told him, but I thought I was gonna die for a second. I'm like, oh, yeah, man, go get it, go. and he crossed the line, and his fiance was there to see him and his family, and to give that to somebody. I'm not giving that to anybody. I'm playing the role of the compass. Yeah. They're the ones that get them from point A to point B. Yeah. You know?
You got to put in the work. You got to show up.
I'm just the rudder.
Yeah. Know? But the rudder's the most important part. Yeah. It don't go anywhere if you ain't got something navigating it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're that. One thing about me, too, is I have a hard time taking when someone says something like to me, like, hey, man, dude, thank you so much, man. I'm like, bro, like, man, you went and did it. I'm proud of you. That's good enough for me. Or if I do something for someone, they want to give me back something, I'm like, don't give me back anything. I just need you to go just do it for someone else, or keep doing what you're doing, keep getting better. I don't need anything back from you. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, it's just humility. You know what I mean? At least you're not on here being like, oh, I'm the best Ironman coach out there. No, there's no one else, you know, it's because no one would receive that. But the fact that you're humble, you're willing to be like, look, man, I know where I used to be there. I'm glad that I can play a part in your life, if that means getting you across that finish line and seeing you on that podium, like that one person seeing you on the podium and seeing the fire in your eyes of where you were when you came to me. Yeah. And then now seeing this different light in your eyes. That's what I love the most.
Exactly.
You know, and that is your payout right there. That's everything to you. And that's a good thing.
And like, the good that comes from this sport, personally or watching other people, it just touches every part of your life. It makes you a better husband. It makes you a better father. It makes you a better person. It makes you more confident, where you can look people in the eyes. You don't feel that anxiety, because you know, like, it's going to be okay. You know, it does so much for you. Yeah. It's really neat. And the other thing about this sport is it brings people together. That we hear this word diversity all the time, like forced diversity almost. You watch a cartoon now, you're going to have a black, white, brown, yellow, kid in a wheelchair, you know, and that's cool. I get it. You know, you want to see all that different stuff. Yeah. But we got a guy named Ahmed in our group.
Yeah, I know Ahmed.
You know Ahmed?
We were at y'all went to Austin together.
That's right.
We all went to Austin together.
Yeah. And we have had more talks about, you know, the Palestinian and Israeli way of thinking, and what the corruption in Egypt, and just topics that it doesn't matter if you're a Fox News guy or MSNBC or whatever you watch. Yeah. You know, just this sport breaks down barriers between people. And real quick one, this is great. All right, the Ironman World Championship. This is the best breakdown of barriers ever. Right. So the 40 to 44-year-olds, this is the Ironman 70.3 World Championship, St. George, Utah last year. Okay. So they drive us out in a bus. It's super early. It's super cold. And we're out there in the middle of the desert, right? And it's the World Championship, so there's a shit ton of porta potties for everybody. They were actually really cool. They gave a lot of porta potties. Okay. And so I'm walking around trying to stay warm, and I hear this guy yell, "Bro, I'm in here taking a fucking shit!" Like really loud, right? And all these people from all over the world, all these different countries, a lot of them didn't even speak English. Yeah. We all look at each other, and we all just start cracking up. I mean, it didn't matter that most of these people didn't even speak English. They completely understood. You know? So, talk about breaking down some barriers, you know?
Yeah. No, man, that's cool. I think, I think sports does that in general. All sports do that. You're there for a common goal. More or less, is to beat the other team. And this one, it's to get to that finish line, and it's beating yourself.
That's right. This is all about.
It's a different sport in that way. But most sports is there. It's like I don't see either whether it's individual or whether it's team. It's like we're here for a goal. Could care less what you do outside of this, whatever it is. But we're here for a purpose.
Yeah.
And that puts everything to the side. I feel like if society did that and we were just like, I really don't care about race or anything, but we're all here to better humanity or ourselves. Like this is a team and we're trying to defeat, which in the world of, I hate saying religion, but quote unquote religion, it's the devil, cause he's trying to put alcohol into your life. He's trying to put, weed, drugs, anger, all these things, sadness, depression, anxiety. He's trying to put all this in our life and lie to us, and then we all fall short to it. I don't say we all fall short, but some of us fall short to it, and some of us don't make it out. Some of us do. But it's like if we came together as a team, like on a team, whether it's individual, because like y'all are a team, but you're individual. Y'all team and practice together, but when it comes to game day,
right,
it's a camaraderie, but competitive camaraderie in its own sense, but it's still competitive. It's like, I want to see you get there, bro, but I want to beat you there. But you need that
because it's divided into age groups and things like that.
Still, but I feel like you need that though. We need competition in the world. If you don't have competition, then what's the point of doing better?
This one is not so much beating the other team. This is being the best version of yourself you can possibly be. And that might be 2 seconds faster today. It might be 10 seconds slower next week.
And like triathlon sports or marathon,
and running. Yeah.
Running ultras, stuff
Absolutely.
Like that. It's just trying to beat your time.
Trying to beat your time, but even if you don't, who cares? You're out there doing something healthy. You're out there doing something positive.
Bro, yeah.
And you're trying to be the best version of yourself you can be. And that's not necessarily tied to the best time.
Yeah.
Who cares? If you're first, if you're last, my medal looks the same as the guy that comes in last place. Yeah. I mean, and very few of these races are tied to any serious money or endorsements or whatnot. None of our sponsors, they're not going to give a damn that I came in third overall, this weekend. They're not going to care if I come in third to last. We're just out there trying to promote positivity and health and good times and togetherness,
Yeah. It's a good thing. I think it needs more people need to get, because I had a friend, she was trying to get away from quote unquote drinking and going out clubbing and bars and that scene, and she's like, well, who am I gonna hang out with? Like, what do I go do?
That is a fear. That's a legitimate fear,
and it's like, man, there is a entire world out there, because I've experienced it, but there's an entire world out there who are positively doing something amazing in their life. And I say amazing, but they're out there doing what, y'all do, exercising. They're wanting to get together, go run and talk and laugh and have a good time without all that, the drinking and the
That's
toxic.
Such a good point, because I remember that fear too.
Right.
That's the fear I think of a lot of drug addicts and alcoholics especially. So many memories are tied to drinking. In fact, every one of my stories was starting with, man, you remember that time we were so fucked up, man? Every story I had started like that.
Do you know how irritated I get when I hear people nowadays talk about it like that? Bro, I get it. It's like, because I talk about it too. Like, I get with my cousins, I get with my brother or whatever. It's like, bro, remember when we were, and it's like, it kind of cringes me. Because it's like, I hate thinking about it. Like, and I know it's my past, and then you gotta be proud of what it is, because it's where it's where you're at now. But when I hear other people talking about, like, bro, who are currently drinking, I have friends now who currently drink, and they don't see an issue with it, and there's not. But I mean, I'm not gonna go that far into it, but I can see it. You just can't see it because you're in it. Mm-hmm. You're in the house and you're looking out. I'm outside looking in. I know what you've gone through, bro.
Yeah.
You can lie all day, but I know what it is. And so it's
and boy, are we clever as addicts about lying and mental games we play with that.
Yeah, because but it's just like you said, it's just I don't know, it's just loving them. So, but it is that, I don't know, I forget where I was going with it, but it is that hard sense of trying to, I hate hearing them say like, man, we got messed up, we tore down, or we got such and such blacked out, and it's like, I'd rather hear you blacked out trying to run a marathon or trying to do something like crazy
I've done
like that.
Too, man.
I know, right? Or, pull on the side of the road to, whatever, to, because you got to release some stuff out your bowels.
I got a lot of those stories.
But you're releasing out your bowels because you're running and your stomach's messed up, not because you have to stop on the side of the road because you're drunk as hell and you need to throw up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The difference of the world, like the avenues of it, the paths of it are crazy. It's like, well, what do you do every day? Oh, I wake up and I'm always running. I'm always doing this. I'm always doing that. Well, doesn't that get tiring? Isn't that whatever? It's like, yeah, but it's a really good thing. It's getting my mind going. My memories are great. I feel great. I impact others greatly. This gets my day running and stuff. And then you have the other side of it to where it's like, well, I go get drunk after work every single day. I go and do this after, and it's just the world that you're living in. You think it's a light world. You think it's fun. The music you listen to, the people you're around, you think it's fun because you're around other people who are not good themselves. And this is how they cope with it. For me, that's how it was.
Yeah. And a lot of the people in that world, for me, I still am close with. I still consider them brothers, but I don't run with them as much anymore because when we get together, that's all the stories are, is looking over your shoulder and talking about, oh yeah, that time, blah, 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 which can, if you're not strong enough, that can lead you right back into that trap too of like, well, let's get a little something and just for old time's sake or whatnot.
1,000%.
And so you start to find that you don't have as much in common with those people anymore. But you really touched on something, that fear of, well, if this isn't in my life, then what's it going to be like next time I go fishing? Or, or next time I go out with the boys and we're shooting up at the farm or something like that. Mm-hmm. That fear of like, well, I'm not going to say I'm never going to do it. Well, for me, it had to be one or the other. I was never going to be a 2-beer person. Yeah. Anything worth doing, 2 is going to turn into 22 pretty fast.
Bro, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Anything worth doing is worth doing well.
100%. And I apologize for any young kids. I know I see my statistics. So I have young kids watching, but I call it the domino effect for me. And you're probably the same way. But for me, it was, and I've told my mom, actually I talked about it on the first show, so it's nothing new to her. But if I drank, I wanted a cigarette. But I'm smoking a cigarette, and that's not good for me now. So now I want some weed because it's healthier. Right. Now I'm high, and I'm like low, but I want to get even higher. Mm-hmm. So I pop a Xanax. Yep. But now I'm too dang low, and so I need to wake up because I either have to drive home or whatever. So I do some cocaine. Yep. And then after I do, then after I do some cocaine, it's like, well, I have to go to the bathroom every 45 to an hour or 30 minutes, whatever it is, right? And then that stuff's all cut, so that road is going to cut out pretty soon. So then now it's like, well, let me get some ecstasy. And then now,
now you're not going to bed for 9 hours, man.
So now I want to drink some more because I'm on an exo. Like now I could drink all night. Let's go, right? Dude. So I call it the domino effect. So for me, and I, just like you, I can't just do something and I can't control it. But see, I've told that to someone. They're like, well, you're good because you can't control it because you don't do it. So you actually can control it. And I say, yeah, I get it, but I'm not these types that I've seen people go out and they're like, well, we're just going to have like 3 drinks and then that's it for the night. And I'm thinking, how can you do? I don't understand how you can do that. Yeah. I get it, but for me, it's like, nah, bro, if I'm going to go out drinking tonight, we're going to go drinking.
Yeah, we're going to do this.
We're going to do this. We're going to have a hell of a time. And that's just.
Man, you'd hit an X after all that. Whew. Boy, you stayed up a long time.
It's just I'm just saying, like, even I know. Maybe not even in the night, bro, but within a month span, if the bug bit me again, I promise you, it's a floodgate of hell. And especially, so here's the thing, especially like that demon more or less has been defeated and gone for so long. And I know, and at all, like the devil's always just lurking, just waiting. Yeah, he's just waiting to catch you again. If he ever caught me again. I've told my mom, I've told my dad, and I'm telling my wife, I'll never come back. I won't. I will overdose. I will die. I promise you. Because that thing hasn't got me in so long. God knows how my body's going to react to it.
True that.
But
we're lighter, we're healthier.
it's going to hit you so hard. So it's like, I don't know. Plus everything's all cut now, weed included.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it'll have a grasp on me. I can't do it. That's why I do go run and I'm trying to get, man, it's been hard lately, bro. That was my biggest.
Well, it's so hot.
That was my biggest fear. Oh, I love it being hot though.
Oh.
But that was my biggest. I like it hot and I like it cold. I like being in temperatures that make my body say, I don't want to be here. I love that because
well, see, that's a great race strategy. That's why I did so well on Sunday, because somebody said, "How'd you do that so fast during this heat?" And I said,
I want to get the hell
my
out.
strategy was to finish as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
it's a good strategy.
It's a hell of a strategy, bro. Get in and get out. Who wants to be here this whole entire time? So go as fast as you can. Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to play football with the big kids in the neighborhood. We played right across the street in this big old field. And they're like, dang, Sed, you're so fast. Why are you so? I was like, I'm not fast, bro. I'm just running from you. I don't want to get tackled by you, bro. I'm hauling.
Right.
Like, I'm not even fast, bro. So catch me racing. I'm good. But y'all are chasing after me. But yeah, bro. That's why, like, my family didn't tell me until after I kind of quote unquote recovered, because I'm still recovering. Mm-hmm. But they threw me on tramadol. They threw me on methocarbamol. They threw me on hydrocodone and like 2 other pills, and I was taking them every 4 to 6 hours consecutively during my recovery. Wow. And one of my biggest, I prayed on it real hard, and I said, God, if I even have the slightest sign of me getting hooked again to where I need this, rip me off of it. I don't want to go back. But let it just be what it needs to be for my body. Like, I'm in pain. I was in pain, bro. I went 12 days with the broken bone before I went and had surgery, because they had to prolong that. I don't know why they had to prolong it. One, they took a week to schedule me with the orthopedic, and then they took another week for me to get in. But regardless, it was a little nerve-wracking, because it's like, I'm about to be on some stuff that I used to scrounge up change just to go get, and I used to use I'd buy that before I'd buy some food. I'd spend a good
I remember those days,
right? I'd spend a good healthy amount of money on purchasing some weed or some hydrocodone or Xanax, and then I would get like a hot and spicy for $1.
That's what I'm talking
some
about.
Tacos, right?
Oh yeah, dude.
Right?
I go to the store, get some rice-a-roni, and like maybe a cheap link of sausage, and I was straight for 2 days, man. As long as I had that Taco vodka, I was good to go.
Exactly. That's not the same point, bro. So, getting off of that, and then had the surgery. Now I'm on these pills, and then pills ran out, and then obviously I felt good, thank God. And then now it's this. I've been talking to my wife about it. It's been this struggle, bro, of trying to get out. And I told her, I was like, I didn't realize I was depressed, because I don't like to feed into that. That's excuse my language. I don't mean to say crap, because it's a lie, but it is a real thing. Because I say it's a real thing. I say it's a lie. I know it's very contradicting, but to get into the habit of not disciplining yourself, and it's not the fact that I was lazy.
Yeah,
I wasn't lazy. I literally couldn't stretch anymore. Because I can't. My bone would touch. It hurt like hell.
Yeah.
I can't do the same active things that I want to do. Doctor told me I couldn't even walk. He was like, dude, don't go outside. Your body's really recovering. It needs whatever. And I'm like,
after the Austin Marathon,
bro.
too.
Right after
you ran the whole thing,
bro. I just PR'd.
Yeah.
By 36 minutes.
On a hard course.
It was hilly. So I did 5:08, and then I dropped down to 4:36 or 4:34.
Yeah, we were tracking you. I was driving home like, my God.
I'm picking it up. Yeah, at the end. Yeah, because like you said, let's get it over with.
Right.
Let's just finish. Screw these hills, bro. I ain't never coming back to the hill country. But
how tough after that, man.
So right after that, and then you and I are like, we're on this pain of like, yeah, man, and you even told me, and that's my problem for not listening, but God intervened. And he's the one, he's not the one who threw me down, but I ran myself into the floor, literally into the ground whenever I was biking that day. Because what I needed to do was hit I forget what training thing you had me going for, but it was a brick that day.
Yeah. Okay.
So that day it was a brick. And you said, I remember walking back to the hotel, and you're congratulating me. You're like, said, bro, I've never ran the full marathon, but you're like, that's crazy. Good accomplishment. Get some rest. Cedric, get some rest.
Yeah.
you need full recovery because of what you just did to your muscles running all of that. You need to fully recover yourself.
Yeah.
2 days later, after when I got home, 2 days later, so Monday, Sunday, on Wednesday, I went and I did that brick. I wasn't listening. I didn't listen. It was like, in a way, it was like God was like talking through you to tell me, and I was on a course, dude. I did the marathon January 15th. A week later, I did half marathon, and then I think I did the half marathon in Katy.
Yeah,
and
that's
then,
a good one.
And then, yeah, but I didn't do it at Katy. I did it at home. I did it virtual because I was halfway there. Remember I told you I was halfway there and I forgot my bib. And you were like, said, you should have just told me because whatever. But
I would have just banded that up.
But, yeah, I got it. But I did my first half marathon in under 2 hours on that one. That was crazy for me. I was happy.
That was my first sub-2 half marathon. Yeah, the Katy. Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. So I did that, and then I go into the Austin Marathon. I PR by 36. So I'm on this like kick of like just going. But what I was doing was I was never. You go to your stuff and you talk to people, and you're like, "Hey, man, what's going?" You're just very open. I'm assuming because you got so many people coming to you. You got tents.
The truth is more fun,
right? Well, I go there. I go and I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not talking to anyone around me.
Well, I wasn't like this at first either.
Yeah,
you know?
I was like kind of like secluded. I was to myself, like, and it's like, well, where is helping out people in that? Because that's what I want to do in life. I want to help people. Just want to make people feel. That's why I'm doing barbering. I want to make you look good. I want to make you feel good, and that's how you start. You start by your looks.
Yeah.
Even your physical self. If you're walking around like as like a slub or whatever, and you don't look good physically, you mentally don't feel good.
That's
you
right.
know, it's just looking good.
Well, that's
looking
what
healthy.
I meant by like the good that comes from this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the good body is the byproduct of it. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's nobody out there in the world that doesn't want to look better physically, but the good just touches everything, man. But to your point, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good.
I didn't start off, with tents, with an army of friends and supporters and stuff. I mean, it was a process, but. And this was never the goal. This was never the world championship and running sub 3 hour Boston Marathon. I never dreamed of things like this. You know,
amazing.
I remember hearing a comedian when I was a kid saying, I'd swim through a river of shit and run the Boston Marathon before I'd do that. And as dumb as that joke is, I remember thinking, God, that must be really hard. And then you get into the sport and you realize how difficult it is to qualify for that. But, just one thing leads to another. If you just stay the road, if you stay the course, and I think that's a biblical thing too. Yeah. If you just one step at a time, run the mile you're in, stay the course, all the cliches in the world, good things start happening. One person becomes 2, becomes 10, becomes, okay, now I know a lot of people around here. Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once the crumb starts coming down the side of the mountain, it becomes a boulder fairly quickly if you want it to be.
Yeah.
So
I can agree with. I can see that it's happening with this show.
Yeah.
It's crazy. A lot of people are really receptive to it, especially the clips that I post on.
I apologize for my language. You're probably gonna have to beat me on a few.
You're good,
it's just
man.
the nature. Some parts of the rock and roller will never die in me, man.
You're good, bro. So the thing is that what I would love for people to see is that when it comes to this whole religious thing, it's so funny because you did text me saying I'll have to wash my mouth on that one, but it's how you know how it is, how Jesus puts it, come as you are. And a lot of people forget that. A lot of people forget come as you are. And because what happens is that, and I feel like you have it in you, that's why you're humble, because you knew what it was. You knew what it was like to be lost in the dark every day, just completely lost.
Yeah.
And now you're here. Some people get there and then they act like they've always been here. It was like this whole entire time, and you need to get your life together. And it's like, no, dude, this took a process. This took a tearing of the soul, tearing of the mind. This took a lot to get here. And then that's why, like, I've heard people, like, when we're out, they're like, why do they cry whenever they win a championship or when they win a belt or they win? Do you not understand how hard? But that's why, because it shows that you've never put yourself in that world. To understand what it's like to get to that point of all the practice, of all the hard sacrifices, while y'all are out going and drinking and having y'all's fun with your whatever, you're putting in the work every single day trying to get to that point. And so it means so much, especially coming from an alcoholic standpoint or coming from an addiction standpoint, to know who you were and now you're this thing. It's an amazing feat. And that my whole thing is like with you, cursing. I was cussing too. Yeah. I'm 100% until, my friend Joel, who comes on the show often, showed me James and was saying, well, Cedric, if you're going to want to help people, here's where it says. It says, it was something like, not all of you should be teachers because of your mouth, because the mouth is like a rudder, ironically. It's like a rudder and it guides your ship. And it's like it's like a spark that could set a whole, woods on fire just by the spark of it or whatever it is, right? So it's in James. So but that hit me at home because I was thinking, well, man, I'm gonna have people listening to me and hearing me and I want them to be receptive to what I'm saying. One of my biggest things that would mean a lot to me is if someone came up to me and said, hey, I let my son who's 10, 8, 12, whatever, young, listens to you because you watch you watch it. And it's like, well, I don't want to project that on my people and say, hey man, when you come on my show, you got to watch your mouth. I don't want to say that because I want you to come as you are, come as who you are, because that's your authentic self.
Right.
It's not me, because if I had you trying to tiptoe around, I appreciate you tiptoeing around because you're probably what you've released, what you've said already is really holding back with how you use it.
It really is.
So I appreciate it because it could be.
I get it. You have to be kind of professional, but what you 100%. Said about authenticity,
yes.
Even in the business world, I don't change who I am very much, and I've never tried to be holier than thou. People ask me sometimes too, man, you regret any of that? No. I don't
what?
Any of the drinking, any of the partying. I wouldn't be the wonderful human I am today without
100%.
Those life experiences. And
100%.
So many people don't have any real life experiences. Yeah. So they're kind of devoid of character in a lot of ways. Your flaws are what make you human and
100%.
Add to your wealth of knowledge of this world.
100%. It's experience.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're a theologist. You're a theologist and not a practitioner.
Right.
What you are is a practitioner. You've been through it. You can, like, people when I talk to them and they're like, well, how do you know that? It's like called like prophesying or like predicting things. It's like, dude, I've been there. I know what you're thinking. I know what it's like. I really know what you're thinking. You may not remember what, like, day to day on how it was being alcohol, but you know what an alcoholic is thinking.
Oh, yeah.
You can put yourself in their world and think, no, it's not that big of a deal. Family issues are just family issues. Work issues are work issues. It has nothing to do with my drinking. I can stop when I want to stop. And it's like, then stop. Stop it for 30 days. Let's just see. Stop it for 30 days.
Stop it for 3.
Let's right? Stop it for 30 days. Let's see if you can do it, and let's just see. It'll always be there, right? There's going to be liquor stores all around. There's going to be weeds always going to be there, whatever it is that you're addicted to, right? Even anger. Let's just say, because I hate going to substances because that's the most like natural thing. But I've had people say, well, I don't do any of that. Yeah, it's like, well, you doing bad business deals, you being an angry person, you being a spiteful person, a vengeful person. These are certain things that once you get over the substance abuse, these are other things that come uncovered now. Like now you got to watch how you're being angry towards, your family, your kids, your coworkers, not being judgmental, there's always so much. There's so much, bro. Yeah, there is. And so it's like you get real self-righteous real quick when you're like, well, I don't drink. I don't do any of that. I've never have. I don't understand. And it's like, yeah, you may not, but now you sound like you need to be working on something else. You know what I mean? There's never a point that
we all fall short.
100%. Thank you. And we all do. No matter how well put together it may seem that someone has it, they're struggling somewhere.
Yeah,
and they
absolutely.
are. And if they act like they're not, then you need to call me so I can pray for you because you probably are. And that's your vice, is that you think you don't have a problem and you really do, and you're just avoiding it. You're avoiding your ego, your pride, or whatever it is. And that's just, man. I was talking about my injury. It's been a very interesting setback, and I say a setback, but it really wasn't a setback, because had it not been for that injury, bro, I wouldn't have had as many revelations of understanding that. I remember you told me something, and I'm still curious. You said something about cadence, about your
Yeah.
running and about how you at first you were like your first coach that you ever had, you were always go 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 go. You were very fast. You just did everything quick. But now you're at a state, I think you said, to where it's just like you're fast and you're quick, but it's at a smoother pace, or it's something.
Well, I never had any coaches actually, which is funny, you know. 'Cause
Okay,
here
good.
I am a coach. you
Yeah.
know.
Okay, I thought you
but
said it
what
was
makes me a good coach is that I've done everything wrong, and
Okay.
so I can tell everybody how to not screw up the way I did.
Okay.
Yeah. My mentor, I
There
guess
you go.
we'll say,
Okay.
was my very, very good friend, Mr. David Rosenthal. He runs Wild Pear Running in Pearland, the equivalent of On the Run.
Okay.
And you talk about two guys that probably, another two strange pair. His politics and my politics differ wildly. He's kind of liberal Jewish, and I'm conservative, shaved head, you know. So when we run together, we look like, we get into some interesting topics, but we're the best of friends. And I've never met anyone that can just tell it like it is, even rawer than me. Just, And so he tells me in 2019, I was doing every run up until then, it just hard, fast. Because his men were just programmed, I think, DNA, like harder, stronger, faster. Yeah, this is the only way to do it. So Dave finally says to me, he goes, and his words, not mine, Jesus Christ, you've proven you're fucking tough. Now can you just be smart? And it was in that moment that I realized what he was trying to say, which is every single run that I was doing was like 6:30, 6:45, you know, even like low sevens on a bad day. It just killing myself. Heart rate through the roof. Yeah, pace per mile.
Pace per
and
mile.
Heart rate through the roof. And I was never spending any time in those lower heart rate zones that are supposed to be your bread and butter. 80% of your time needs to be the slower, easier miles, because we want, in these endurance sports, we want the engine of an 18-wheeler. We don't want the engine of a go-kart. We're not sprinters. We're endurance athletes. And so, you know, as humans, at the dawn of time, that's just how we're engineered. We're not going to be as fast as the cheetah, but we'll run the cheetah down eventually, because it will sprint, run out of steam, and 20 miles later, here we come. You know?
Yeah.
So that was the revelation when Dave said that to me. I finally got my training pace into like the 8-minute per mile range and started seeing my heart rate lower. And all of a sudden, I stopped getting injured. I wasn't breaking down, because it's not as hard on your body at the slower paces, and you're simultaneously building this motor inside of you, this tremendous motor.
They call it an aerobic base, right?
Yeah, your aerobic zone 2 miles.
Zone 2.
Yeah, it conversational pace.
Right.
So if you and I were running along, I'd be like, "Hey, Sid, what are you doing for dinner tonight?" Keeping a conversation between breaths.
Okay.
So if you're at home and you're wondering the right way to run conversational pace, you know, most of the time.
Where you can talk.
Yeah, and that's the way that you build up to these 50, 60, 70, 80-mile weeks. If you run every single run mega fast and you try to have an 80-mile week, good luck.
Yeah.
IT band is going to go, the ankle's going to go, the hip or hamstring insertion, you know, you're just going to start breaking down all over the kinetic chain, and you're going to have problems. But anyway, I think that answers your question. Cadence, though, that deals with steps, like how fast your steps should be. And the reason that I'm fast is not because I have these long sprinter strides. I'm like Mario. If you ever played, you know, Super Mario when you were a little kid, you push the B button and he runs real fast. You know, legs are moving. That's your cadence.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a really, really fast cadence.
Step per minute, right?
Steps per minute.
Steps per minute.
The target number, you know, that most runners try to target is like the ideal number is somewhere between like 178 and 180, somewhere in that range. And mine, even on the training runs, is like about 192. And if it's in a race, 200 and something, you know. So.
Yeah, it's I think it takes time. It takes pace. It takes time, but it takes a moment of I think to where you're at now. I think it's beautiful. I really do. And it's
well, we're all a work in progress, man. My swim
we are
needs work, but Triathlon's helping with that tremendously. So
Yeah.
I've seen some good stuff recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. So where are you at with the whole God situation? I know you said you shattered your ankle, right?
Yeah.
So you shattered your ankle back in 2021.
On the phone with somebody to do with the race. I wasn't paying attention. Looked away for a second. I wasn't texting, but the woman in front of me had slammed on her brakes, and I was wearing flip-flops, and when I slammed on the brake pedal, it bent my ankle at a really weird angle, and I don't even remember the names of the two bones in the foot, but just obliterated them, you know. It would have been so much easier if it had just been a broken ankle.
Yeah.
But first on the scene was my friend Dave Rosenthal, which ironically this happened right in front of Wild Pear Running on not far from my house.
Okay.
So yeah, shattered the ankle. Got cheated out of the Ironman World Championship, but they were actually very cool. Ironman is not notorious for being cool with athletes and stuff, but they did allow me to defer that race to the next year because I'd qualified for the World Championship 4 times that year. So they figured, well, he's a coach. He throws us God knows how many thousands of dollars a year. We'll let it ride.
Yeah,
so
no kidding.
But that was a tough road back, man. That was a lot of rehab and a lot of frustrations, and I should probably apologize to my wife on this right now, because I know I was not an easy person to live with for a while. Here it is, you've given up this terrible addiction and traded in for this other one, and now all of a sudden you can't do that. I mean, I know
bro,
because of the collarbone.
That's why I laugh,
yeah.
Bro, because 100,000%, I hear you.
I'm sure you were a much more righteous, happy fellow than I was.
Oh, bro,
I was chewing the paint off the wall.
Yeah, I remember calling you on the phone. I was walking around the neighborhood. I still was in my sling, and you were calling to check up on me, which I appreciate you checking in on me.
Of course, man.
But I was kind of like distant on my texting because I was just like, nah, man, I didn't realize until not too long ago I was like truly just depressed during that time. Like even I'm crawling out of it still. But I forget, man, I'm sorry. I gotta get spaced out on that, thinking about that. Yeah, I remember you saying, well, your spirit's much higher, because I was like, man, you know what, God's got me on the path, like, and this has to be for a reason. You're like, well, you're much better than me than whenever I was in that situation. And he's like, you were like, I'm still, and then you told me the Boston story where, and you gave your nod, and you were like, well, I hope with what I've been doing lately that the big man upstairs, with who you're helping out with, the big man upstairs gives you like a
couple of heaven points.
Yeah,
something.
So, but
for all the falling short in my life,
100%. So, it's just that it was praising him through my tough times. That was hard. That was hard to keep that. I think that's what kept me off of going back to drugs. I think if I wanted to, I could have fell into the whole poor me, like just, I can't, let me get drunk. Let me get some weed. Let me just let me
talk here and I can't do anything else.
Yes. Let me talk to the doctor, and actually let me tell the doctor that I'm really at an 8 right now.
Yeah.
I'm at a 9. This pain is and then he tries to act like he's lifting me up, and I'm milking it. And it's like, well, let's give you, instead of like a 5 or a 10 milligram, let's go ahead and give you a 20. Mm-hmm. Let's give you 60 count of it. You know what I mean? So I could have done it 100%, but I just feel like I'm thankful that it didn't happen soon, like meaning the first year or so, or that I got out of addiction. I probably would have fell back into it. But had this been 7 years after, I built up that relationship, that community, the relationship, even then. But my mom helped me out a lot with it. All my family was really helpful. But most of the time I was kind of alone on it, and a little bit by choice, because I don't like people helping me. I'm weird about it. It's just, I don't know. Something I'm working on, but I just wanted to be on my own. I wanted to get, even whenever I was getting dressed with my broken collarbone, like I just want to do it all on my own. Don't help me out. And I don't know if that's like a certain stage of.
I think that's just men in general,
Yeah,
man. Like,
I just didn't want it. Get the heck away from me. Leave me alone. I got it, and I'm fine. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna get back into it, whatever.
yeah.
But that's where I'm at now. Now I'm starting to do a little bit more slow. Because when I first started my first marathon, I think I had 6 weeks. I was on Thanksgiving.
6 weeks. Build
Yeah.
up.
I
From
never,
what? From a 5K or something? Oh my! You're
I
young.
ran my first 5K that weekend after Thanksgiving. I had just run my first 5K, 10K. I never
Well, you
ran.
know what? I can't say anything because that 5K, I was third to last. It wasn't but 4.5 months, and I did Chevron too. So I mean,
100%. Yeah.
Probably not the greatest training plan, you know. But
it's not, bro.
That's what makes me a good coach. I tell them not to do that mess.
Yeah. Hey guys, I've done it, so don't do this.
Yeah, don't go this way, man.
I remember being on mile 20, approaching mile 21, and we could see downtown. And that's why I told myself, I was like, if I could just get to see downtown, I know whatever miserable thing I'm at, if I could just see downtown, it'll re-spark me, and I'll get there. Well, I met this girl, but as I'm running, for some reason, this girl and I were running at the same pace at some point. And something said, talk to her. So I was like, you know, whatever. And she was like, well, how long have you been training for? And I said, 6 weeks. And she was like, 6 weeks? She said 6 months. I was like, no, 6 weeks. She was like, I've been training for 6 months. Like, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm really stubborn. Like, I really want to do something. I'm going to do it. But I was putting in 50 mile week. Actually, I started off with 25, and I think I jumped to 30, and then it was like 50 mile weeks. Like,
oh
it
my
weeks.
God, you're so lucky you didn't destroy something. It's probably because you're so much younger now.
I'm still hurting. I'm hurting every day, bro. All the time. My legs, my groin, my hip flexors, they're always in agonizing
hip flexors,
pain.
welcome to triathlon and running, man.
Are they always in pain?
Always.
No
sore.
matter how much stretching?
Always sore.
Bro, I'm hurting. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm hurting now. I'm always in class.
Get the hip attachments, you know, for the compression boots. Those
I have them. Oh, they get the hip attachment?
Yeah.
One?
If you got like a racket ball or the Erosti type balls,
okay,
roll in that
roll in
area.
there.
If you got a massage gun, those help.
I got a So Right.
Yeah, there you go.
See So Right? Just lay on that mug. It hurts.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, so I was just running myself into the ground, like not caring. So now I feel like I've had a lot of revelations of like, you know, not okay. We know you can go fast. We know you can do it. We know you can prep for a marathon. Obviously, you don't need much time. Your mental is there.
Yeah.
Now we just need you to get smarter about it. We need, like, that day that I broke my my collarbone, I was going 18 miles an hour on the bike. I remember because I had just looked down to see what I'm trying to get that time.
Yeah.
And I want to have it fast. And I know Coach Jeff's going to be checking this stuff. So I want him to be like, dang, that boy's doing it. Yeah. So I'm going fast, bro. And I was. In my head, I'm like, I'm going to go fast. I'm going to run this break. I'm going to have a good time. And I'm going to knock out this 70, this half come a couple months from now. And that ruined me. That ran me into the ground because, you know, I try to think, you don't go try to run a marathon. You don't try to qualify for the Boston Marathon by running immediately at 6-7 minute mile pace. No, you know, it takes. So it was like, well, Cedric, where was your aerobic base what was your average speed at a good speed where you can have a conversation, relax on that bike and be at a good pace? Don't matter about time, but where was that at? Where was your speed at? I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just going. I was trying to beat my time. I was trying to set the fastest time.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, so I'm starting to think. I'm like, okay, I'm doing a lot of homework, a lot of like dissecting myself during this time. And what God did to me, I believe, well, I did that to myself, my injury. But while I was in this rehabilitation state spiritually, he was telling me, he was getting me to slow down. He knew there was no other way to get my attention for him and I to have a legit conversation other than to put me on park, because I was never going to be put on park ever. I just wasn't. You could tell me to sit down. My grandma was even telling me, Cedric, are you going to be running? Is it healthy to be running that much? Is it this? Is it that?
Yes. And let me shut down any of those rumors that if anybody's ever heard, oh, you shouldn't run that much. It's bad for you. It's bad for your knees. It's bad. No, it is not. Get out there and run. You don't have to run fast. You can run 12-minute miles. You can run 15-minute miles. You can run 18-minute miles. We are designed to run. So sorry, I
Cool.
just had to make that point
You're
real
good.
quick.
Yeah, you're good.
I
So
hate it when I hear that.
it bothers me too, but I know she's grandma. She's trying to like look out. She's loving and caring. My mom does it too. They always like are being so nurturing, and it's like I appreciate the nurturing, but stop.
Yeah,
But
I know. That's moms. You know,
yeah,
and grandmas.
100%. So God just knew. He just knows because he knows us, bro. There ain't no other way to get Jeff's attention. He's so dang hard-headed. There ain't no way to get Sed's.
My attention.
You say that, bro, but like I said, I think maybe just like how you and Cody had their divine intervention, maybe this is ours.
Yeah.
Maybe this is his way after Boston, however long ago that was.
He did let me get back to it. You know, that was my only concern.
Yeah.
I knew the World Championship was coming, but
Yeah.
I knew I'd qualify for that again.
Yeah.
It was that first Boston that meant everything to me.
Yeah.
And
Dude, to qualify for the Boston Marathon, bro, my friend called me. I had a couple friends, but my friend Clayton called me after my first marathon in Houston. And he said, congratulations, Cedric. You're a part of that small percent of humans who go and run a marathon.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, yeah, who cares? Because I appreciate it. But in my head, because I'm so competitive, I'm like, yeah, but I heard about this thing called triathlons. And that's an even smaller percentage of people who have done
Joining that Ironman club, yeah.
100% who've done that. Very little. And a lot of people are kind of like how you were whenever you were back in your past of like, I would never. That's stupid. I'd rather swim through, a pile of, whatever. But that's that same thing. It's like just being in that world. It's a totally. I want to do an ultra. I want to go run a 50-mile race. I want to get to 100. I want to go run. I actually want to go do 4AB. I guess so ahead of myself. I want to go do Moab 240.
Cool.
And I want to get to those points. I want to see how far my body can go.
There's a really good book. The one of the head guys of TriDot just turned me on to called The Comfort Crisis. You ought to check that out, man.
Comfort Crisis.
Yeah, I'll give it to you after the thing.
Yeah.
Ex-alcoholic's point of view, and went up to the Alaskan tundra and messing around up there. You ought to check that out. But I hear you, man. I mean,
God put you through everything, Jeff, for a reason. Just like how you're all in for your racing and that, once that itch comes back, or that more or less that extra switch or whatever it is clicks, and the advocate that you'll be for him, that type of warrior is what he needs, because there's not many out there like it. There's just not. Like for me, I have people tell me all these things about the podcast. I have people tell me all these things about the show. And it's like, well, then you go do it. But the thing is that you won't. The thing is, because I don't mind criticism. I don't mind someone telling me something, because I know who I am. I know how grounded I am, and I'm fine. And I'm going to do what I'm going to do to the fullest potential and be my authentic self. I'm not caring about this or that. I don't care that I have a show who's pretty much, I'm Christian based, but I have someone cussing on my show, and I'm not like, well, if you're judging my show based because I have somebody who was on here cussing, then I'm not a real Christian, because I should love someone for who they are and understand that they're going through a change, or this is just who they are, but look at where they're at in their life, and no one's perfect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'd be like how all these other religious fanatics are, and all these people in the church, it's like their doors closed to people who are changed because they act like they never went through something.
Right.
And they're like self-righteous about it. And it's like, oh no, but it's like, no, bring people in. You went through what you went through, not only with the alcoholism addiction, but through failing in your getting to where you're at now, through the world champion, through the Boston Marathon, through all those failed, bad, quote unquote, practices, to help people now actually get them healthy. You said to me too, you were like, Cedric, we're going to get you across the finish line, but not only that, in a healthy way to where you're injury-free, not broken
That's
down.
right.
We're going to go through nutrition. We're going to go through all these things and gradually get you to that point, but we're going to get you there. And just like with that, just like triathloning, just like with marathoning, this religious thing, I hate religion, but this walk with Christ thing, it's gradually. It's not going to magically get there. This is the walk. This is what it's about, because it just takes that time.
My path is a strange one.
Isn't everybody, bro? Look at the Bible. Look at the Bible. You know, you've been in the church. Look at the Bible. There's not one of those guys. You know, like they said, David was an adulterer. You know, Solomon was this. All of these guys were all these messed up things, but they were all advocates for Christ. Paul or one of them killed Christians.
Yeah.
And he wrote more of the New Testament. So how, like, it's like, well, how is it? That's what I'm saying. If we could all band together as a team and be like, dude, the devil is lying to every single one of us, and he would love more than for you and I to go back. We'd probably have some fun drinking too, but he would more
probably
than
too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we'd meet Jesus a lot quicker. So 1,000%, bro. Or we would go meet that devil quicker, because his sole purpose in our life, the devil's sole purpose, he's already damned, and so are all the fallen angels. But his sole purpose is to get you to think that that's not who you are, and this is what God is. That's his whole purpose. Like,
I don't know what you classify me as. I enjoy and get the most pride out of seeing, like I said earlier, the looks in people's expression. Like, I got up on the podium. I did that, man. Yeah. And if that gives them a greater light and a greater power, and that draws them closer to something spiritually, and I'm the conduit for that, I guess.
You are.
Then okay, I'll live with that title.
You are. Nah, I don't classify anybody. I hate classifications, because
I'm a weird kind of angel then, I guess.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
No. I'm definitely not going to use my name and the word angel in the same sentence.
You should, man. Because I'm not going to lie. You helped me through my stuff, and
you're too kind, man.
I know I get that often, but I used to not. Well, I've always been kind, but it's just
if you just dig deep enough, man, people have more in them than they want to realize. You can accomplish great things in this world, and most of it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah,
it's little. Like with the Boston thing with me, I read a book called Boston Bound, and I contacted the author when I first qualified, and I even had my email signature at work blue and gold for years. Nobody knew why, but I did. I was forced to look at it every single day.
I love that.
And just be reminded, like, this is the target. This is, Yeah. And if people would just find something in their life that passionate, it makes escaping addiction, and it makes overcoming hard things in your life a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does, because it creates that habit, that pattern. When you do this, it's going to trickle, like you said earlier, it's going to trickle into your family. It's going to trickle into your work. You're on time. You're showing up. You're doing the work. Even when it is hard or it gets tough, and it will, in anything that you do, you're still pushing through. But if you're not doing those habits, if you're not going and more or less exercising whether you're competing or you're just doing it recreationally, it's just not going to... Your life's gonna be this. Your blinders are on.
It's a mess.
And you may think, and I'm not to judge a life to be like, well, if you're doing these things, your life is crap. I'm not saying that, but you get one chance at this life.
That's exactly right.
Wouldn't you want to spend your life saying, I did do these things because you enjoyed life? You're like, man, I went, and not only did I start off with a 5, and it doesn't have, I'm just using it as an example. It's like I started off with a 5K. I'm using running as an example. I started off with the 10K, then 15, and then, finally made that jump to half. And then, and you're like, I'm glad I did all that, because I didn't do it for anyone else. I was doing it because I found that enjoyment of becoming a better person. I noticed that it started making me feel better, look better, think better, have better relationships with my people.
Yeah.
I started experiencing life. Experiencing life isn't going out there and drinking every weekend. That, if you want to talk about, because people say, isn't running boring? Dude, if you've ever truly ran, it is not boring at all. What's boring is it's the same old repetitive thing, going out drinking, having the same conversations with people, getting high with your friends. It's the same stuff. No one's doing nothing. We're all here like crabs, holding each other back and holding each other down, instead of telling each other and pouring into each other like, hey, man, I want to get to this point. How do I get there physically, or how do I get to the finish line like this? Well, where are you at now? And we could put the steps in that place to get you to be better, versus that road is pulling you down. It's reversing your life. It's actually putting a pause in your life of what you could potentially be in life. And it's just, you lose all those years.
Yeah.
But in reality, you don't really lose the years, because you have to go through those years to appreciate the now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and you don't have to give up everything, because if you ever see me running and you yell hi at me, I'm probably not going to respond, because I'm blasting death metal in my headphones at max volume. You can draw on that a little bit for strength, but to your point about living, that Comfort Crisis book again, there was something in there that said the odds of being alive in this universe right now on this planet in a first world country where we have the things that we really take for granted are literally like taking a trillion-sided die in Las Vegas and rolling the same number 1 million times in a row. Just think about that. Let that sink in for a second. Like, that's the odds of us being alive in America right now, with just the ability to be able to go run or to do these healthy things. So, and we think we have these problems. We really do. And addiction is, of course, a major problem. But one of my best buddies is named Van Jocelyn. He's known better as the Speedo Bandito on all his Facebook stuff. And he's got the coolest story, man.
That's funny.
He wears it. He races in a Speedo for like body awareness and telling everybody, hey, it's cool. You're big, you're skinny, you're tall. And he's a ripped dude. But he does it for that. But he also pulls, these extremely handicapped kids. And he was doing Ainsley's Angels this last week, and he was pulling a guy that he does a lot. And when I say pulling, he was swimming, pulling a raft with this kid on it. Then he's biking, pulling this kid like in a specially designed trike. And then he's pushing the kid on the run. And they finished the race together, and Van actually placed in that category. But seeing that boy that was so incredibly handicapped, just smile and stuff. We just think that we've got problems. You know what I mean?
1000%, bro.
And so
1000%.
Then you look back at something, some of the things that we perceive as problems and are just annoyances. So anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that soapbox. I just thought that was worthy of
It's a
mentioning.
lot of people like that, because that's why I think, Mike, it's a good point to prove. I mean, it is. I had this guy. I don't know if they were like a real, if he's a real account or something. But he messaged me today because I had posted something, and he messaged me today, and he's from.
Did he want $1 million?
He's from Uganda, and all he was saying though, he was just sending me pictures of like their kids or whatever. He never asked for money, but all he was saying is that right now they don't have much food. He showed me a picture of like their river or whatever. I could be getting, right. But it's just thinking though, but regardless whether he is scamming or not, that is a true fact out there.
Yeah.
There's kids with 5-gallon gasoline cans that are walking with their mom. And they're young kids, like, chest high kids, skinny as hell, walking to go get some water and coming back and walking miles to go get it and come back, not even clean water.
Yeah.
And then we're over here worried about, like, I hear people say Dasani's horrible, whether it is or not.
Yeah.
But you got clean water. I got water right now in a dirty bowl with some cereal, like, in the freaking thing. We flush with water. There's so much stuff that we do. I'm about to sleep in a comfortable bed tonight. I'm on a show right now having a podcast. Look at the room. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then if I ever complain, like, and it's hard to, I get some people are like, it's perspective for sure. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, that's why you have to be appreciative. You gotta be appreciative. The fact that we can go run, hell, our bodies are hurting.
An attitude of gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And be grateful, because the fact that you even you're able to walk and have a body, you're wasting God's creation. If not even wasting God's creation, put religion to the side of it. You as a person are wasting there's guys, talking about motivational speakers, there's that one dude who has no arms and no legs, and he's like just a straight body. He has like feet, I guess, and he walks, and he's with Tim Tebow and them giving out motivational speeches and stuff like that about you can do it. It's just, it blows my mind on like how people get how the brain really is so, it's crazy on how powerful it is. It could literally tell you what you are, and if you feed into that, you are what you think you are.
Yeah.
If you think that you drinking is fun or whatever, and that's what it is, then that's what it is, bro. Them dogs there, they get into
It's
it.
all good.
Yeah, but it's interesting, man. I know we kind of got off the path, but it's just this whole thing of your story is interesting to me because there's so many people that are going through it. That's why I love and I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
because
man. Thank you for having me.
100%, because there's so many people that think that they're not good enough or that they can't ever be a triathlon person. You thought you couldn't be that, or you thought you were
I
like,
didn't see their path going this way, but I'm just a stubborn asshole. So
but it got you here.
It
and
did.
now you know there's a different light, there's a different world. You see how lost you were, although you thought, man, I'm exactly where I need to be.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's so many people in this life. And for me, it did take a switch for me to be like, man, I'm tired of living the way that I'm living, and I want a better life. For me, Christ was there, and that's what I fell into, and I've fed on it since. I could have had that part at that time where I broke my collarbone and been like, yeah, dude, screw all of this. And warranted or not, whatever. Thank God I didn't. But it's just, whether it's a religious thing or not, whoever's listening takes it, there is going to come a time where you do get tired enough of the way that you're living. There's a song by Johnny Cash, God's Gonna Cut You Down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
Uh-huh. So if you're not familiar, go check it out, because he says, you can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God's going to cut you down. And he will. But if it's not God and, that makes you turn off, then it's yourself. Sooner or later, you're going to get dehydrated enough, or you're going to find yourself on the road somewhere. God, I hope you don't. But you're going to find yourself throwing up on that toilet. Or there's going to be a time where you find yourself in a bad situation. I pray it's not life-threatening. But it'll get to a point to where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. I want a better life. I hate this stuff. I want something different and new. And if you're already going through it, there's going to be these stages of it. For me, it was stages. Like, it was like, all right, I found it. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I was back in it heavy.
Yeah, same here.
And then it was like, whoa, then it got to a point, heavy for months. And then it was like, again, it came to that one night where I was like, man, I don't want to do this again. I don't like that. And like you said, by the time it wears off, you're like, I'll go back into it again. And so if that process is currently happening for you, then you're on the path of it being pretty much the end. And it's going to come to that end, and it may come to an end.
Eventually it will lead to that, yeah.
In 6 months, it could come to an end. In a month, tomorrow, in a year, in 3 years. Who knows? But it's going to come to an end. And I pray that not that much time has gone by to where you can't do nothing about it, or something bad happens to you to where you can't do nothing about it.
The body is pretty incredible.
It is, dude.
For my skin and my eyes, you've seen my posts on Facebook. It was bad.
How big, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
big, but how much did you weigh?
And my heaviest, probably not a ton, like 226, 227.
And you're 6'2", 6'1"?
6'0".
6 foot?
Yeah.
6 foot, 220, and now you're how much?
About 168,
168.
But,
That is
I'm a
insane.
triathlete, so I'm carrying functional muscle. I try not to bulk up too big, but,
Yeah.
for a runner, I'm kind of on the bulkier side. But, that gets to be a whole discussion we could do for an hour and a half of like power to weight ratio.
Yeah.
And I've played with both ends,
Okay.
182 to 167, 165. And really you have more power when you're a little bit heavier and you're carrying more muscle. So very little difference in like your fastest 1 mile time, like seconds, like 2 or 3 seconds.
Okay. Personal. Which one do you prefer?
Where I'm at right now, kind of
Yeah.
in the middle.
What's
Like
the
if I jumped on a scale right now, I'd probably be like 171, because I had dinner before I came. So.
Got you.
And I'll
Got
probably
you.
have some, and that's the thing too. I'll probably have some ice cream when I go home. I'll go through stages, like the Chicago Marathon's coming up, and so
When?
Early October. And I'm going to try to go sub 3 at that one too as well. And
I might go join you on it.
well, Chicago is a pretty dangerous place, and I got my family to agree because my pace is about a 6:40 per mile. So I can outrun most of the drug addicts. Anybody that might be shooting at me.
Yeah.
But no, I'll go through stages. I'll cut up a little bit more, go down in weight. You'll see the muscle tone come in, and I'll cut all the ice cream after dinner and stuff. But right now, I'm in the ice cream after dinner stage.
Yeah.
So, you gotta have your things, man. Ice cream after dinner is a lot better than 13 shots of SoCo.
Yes. Yeah. Give or take, right? You can't have it all.
Yeah.
So,
man.
Yeah, man. We're gonna wrap it up.
So we've been at this a while, haven't we?
We have. Yeah, it's typical time for me.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it has. Fun. I appreciate it. Yeah. So I always close off with an invitation to people to accept Christ. So, cool. But yeah, man, we just finished wrapping it up, but we just finished talking about it. It takes time. It takes time. It's a lot of patience. I mean, you had multiple years where, it was, it's on.
Oh, sorry.
You good. I love that watch, by the way.
Oh, Phoenix.
Isn't it freaking awesome?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool, bro. It's freaking awesome. Anyway, all right. So Garmin isn't paying me yet, so I ain't gonna mention them. Not playing. No. So, but man, it takes some time. It took me 5 years before I finally realized. It's taking Jeff some time as well, and then not only that, but if you're past your addiction and you're trying to get better and you're going to work out for a few days and then you stop working out for a month or whatever. It takes time, bro, and all this stuff. It just takes.
It's okay. You don't have to go 90 to nothing, man. Just a little bit every couple of days.
Yeah,
it's better than nothing.
Some consistency.
Yeah.
So it just takes some time. And if you've listened to this show, because this is number 21, chapter 21. So if you've listened to it and every time I do this call, you're like, nah, you turn it off. That's fine too. I hope you listen in on the next one. So just keep listening. I hope that y'all receive something from it. But there is going to come to a point to where you won't be able to do it all. And there is going to be something that even if for me, I looked good. I looked great. I was at 5%. In a month, I went from 14% body fat to 5% in a month. I dropped 20 pounds. I was looking great, doing great, running marathons, doing it all. And there was still something that I needed to obviously work on. We're always going to have to work on something, but there's this firm foundation that you'll have within yourself, that this piece of knowing that, and it's with Christ, in my opinion, knowing that, man, he's never failed me. I've always been in tough times, and you will continue to be in tough times when you follow him, because that's just how it works. That's his MO. That's how he does it. It's not gonna be an easy road, but the way our Lord works is that if you're wanting to do better, you're gonna have more challenges, because that's where better comes from, through experience and stuff like that. It's just how it happens.
Put people in your life.
100%.
He most certainly did with me.
Yeah. Sure. So it's we'll go ahead and do it. So if just repeat after me, and Lord Jesus, I repent of my sins, come into my heart, and I'll make you my Lord and Savior. And if you said that prayer, you've been saved. Send me, I've had a couple of people message me on Instagram. You can do it on Facebook or Twitter. It's said, and so CEDXSAID. They've reached out and they told me that they accepted Christ. And it starts. Now it starts. You're not alone, and that was my biggest thing in life, was being alone. I just, even though I had people around me, I still felt alone, and I wanted to be alone. But once your eyes and your spirit open to God, he really doesn't leave you alone, because it's always this voice, and and scientists call it your subconscious. It's not. It's the Holy Spirit. There's two voices in your head at all times. There's one that's going to tell you what you need to do, and it's right. And there's going to be this other voice that quickly comes and takes it away and says, don't do it. That's just what it is. And it's always constantly there. You can never get rid of it. It's there. It's always going to be there. I could give an example of somebody cuts you off on the road quickly, and it just depends. Quickly, at first you may be like, you know what? Well, that's probably a horrible example because for me right now,
initial reaction.
Yeah, my initial reaction is like, man. But no, there's this. I'm trying to give you an example, but basically you have two voices in your head, and it is the Holy Spirit trying to guide you and lead you to Him. He wants to have a relationship with you. He wants you to want Him because He'll take you places further than you'll ever take yourself. Can't explain it. It's just faith. He will. Give it a try. You can always not do it. And that I don't recommend it, but that's His love and that's His grace. That's Jesus' love and grace, that you could turn your back on Him, quote unquote, turn your back on Him or create distance. But the day and the time that you're ready for it, He's there at all times.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
So, congratulations. And if you didn't say it, no big deal, man. Love you. Keep doing your thing or rewind it. Whichever one, man.
You make a lot of good points, man. You're spot on.
I appreciate that. And you want to give any last remarks to the people before we hop off?
Well, I'm not gonna make a sales pitch, but if you want to reach me, I guess I'll give the information. You can put it in the link below.
I'll put it in the link below.
Yeah.
But go ahead, let them know. Rampage Racing, where to find you, what to
Rampage
do.
Racing and Endurance. Well, yeah, it's pretty easy to see our logo on Facebook, Instagram. We're fairly easy to follow. We just partnered with Triathlon, which is actually the most advanced algorithmic program on earth for writing training plans. The thing just shreds through your Garmin data faster than I certainly could as an experienced coach. It's literally calculating like 11,000 data points per second. Wow. So on your run, let's say you have even Bob's 5K a month from now, it's going to pull in every workout you've done for the last couple of years and just write you a plan. If you miss something, no problem, recalculates the whole thing.
Wow.
And whereas I was doing it by hand before, I was doing the Blockbuster video way. Yeah, this is the Netflix way. Yeah. And it's cool because it allows me more time to call people and talk with them like you.
Heck
I probably wouldn't be doing this with 30 athletes if I was still writing by hand. There's just not enough time, not enough hours. Yeah. And there's no way to scale a business like that. But
1,000%.
Got to brag on my boy Eric. Just had a guy called me 8 weeks ago and said, I'm doing Ironman Lake Placid in 8 weeks. And I said, I almost hung up. That's crazy. You don't do that. But I believed in him. I watched him swim one time, and he nailed every single workout. We got him through that finish line in an incredible time on Sunday. So
sweet, congratulations, Eric.
Yeah, Eric, man, just awesome. That's awesome. But if you want to do big things, man, or if you just want to run the Texas Bridge Series, give me a holler, and we'll get you on the right path.
Yeah, running in general, anything.
I don't care if you've never run a step in your life. You're the most fit person. We've got everybody in Rampage. Everybody from every ethnic background, everything you can imagine. And we all come together, and that's the beauty of Rampage. It really is. It's not the coin buzzword diversity that businesses use. It's not the forcedness together. It's that we come together over this beautiful thing, and it just breaks down the barriers of gender, race, sexuality, whatever, and we just have a great time together.
Y'all do.
And that's what it's all about.
Y'all do. Right? Yeah, it's always smiles.
Yeah.
It's always smiles.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm going to close up with some prayer, and then we're out. Cool.
All right.
Bad money. Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for, again, for this platform. We thank you for just our lives. We thank you for for the breath of life. God knows that, and you know that it's only by your divine self that we're still here. And if we are still here, it's because we have a true purpose in this life, not just for ourselves, but for others. And we're here to love one another, to build each other up, and to see the full potential, your full potential through them, and to just pour into them and to build people up. So, God, we pray that someone receives something today from us, and that their life has a new vision, a fresh vision in their life. They have some motivation in their life, some momentum starts to build. They feel encouraged and they feel hope. And I just pray for them, protect their mind as they try to get better, protect them from the enemy. I know that it's hard to make that transition, but God, work in their life, go before them, make crooked places straight, open new doors that only you can open for them, put the right people in their life so that they can get into that point where you want them in their life, where you need them to work, and be a tool for others and to just be the light for this world. So we thank you, Father, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for watching. Love yourself so that you can go love someone else. Peace. Yeah, give him the signature Jeff finish line. One time. There we go. Let's go, bro. Thanks, brother.
All right, man.
Love you, man.
Appreciate it. That was
you,
fun.
dude. Thank you.